zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me.
Welcome back to Crown's Kiddo Cave, coming at you from a little bit of a lighter Helsinki, Finland, as you can see today. Nice change of pace. Still cold as fuck, but at least we got the sun staring us in the face. Anyways, a few things to talk about today. Higher time frames not changing around all that much. The lower time frame range still holding pretty predominantly speaking, but that is going to actually offer up a few signals going on that probably populate themselves probably maybe even as soon as today. Anyways, with all of that said, I do want to say that I will not be on Twitch later today. I have an errand/appointment to get into. I will be maybe on tomorrow, Wednesday, and definitely on Thursday, and feel free to join on in. It's been really fun, especially getting like community involvement in playing some of these games while also trading at the same time. That is the fucking dream. Anyways, other than that, the Crown trading application is now live, as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. We've been adding more and more information and more pages to it with each and every passing week, and pretty damn exciting, of which we'll actually be looking at a little bit today, as it does tie into the analysis quite well. Anyways, with all of that said, oh, I should tell you where to get it. It's at app.crowntrading.net, and again, it's 100% free, so definitely take advantage of it. It's just, you know, it's like a nice gift to the community, I suppose. Anyways, well, it's like a selfish gift, going back to that concept of selfish altruism, because I'm gonna fucking, you know, I use it too. It's like it's like pretty integral to what I'm looking at. Anyways, with all that said, I'm wishing you the best as always. Let's get in a live scene right now, because well, we got some very important magic internet money business to get deep and down and dirty into at this exact moment. And as we can see right on over here on the Crown trading application, I do want to put specific interest back on the open interest for global derivatives. We're looking at well north of $1 billion. That's billion with a B, and that is suggesting that we are going to see a pretty nice move, a break of not just a short-term time frame range, but likely the medium time frame range, very likely this week. And you know, I mean, realistically, can happen at any moment in time right now, as we are at that critical moment. Anytime this gets over $1 billion, that correlates with big bad moves. Big, not bad like in the sense that, you know, price action bad, but big bad moves like the big bad wolf. You know, it's like it's going to be massive, most likely. Enough momentum to actually break a critical range here. So with that in mind, let's go back on over here and again, keep that in the back of your mind, because what that suggests is that we'll actually have the momentum to really make a major play here. You know, one of those nice moves that I think a lot of people are in this space for. Anyways, Bitcoin on the daily, still kind of hanging out above that red 10 simple. More importantly, we are, well, not more importantly, but just as important and a little bit more easily seen, we are still holding up above this blue box territory right here. However, as you can see, it is really coming under pressure, and this is why I was actually kind of holding off on making this video. I was hoping that we were going to see some price action, will happen around this region, and will realistically, we are going sideways still. So what does that mean? It means that basically the same things that we've been saying for the last few days are still very much applicable. As long as this area does hold, I have a problem being bearish. And when I say bearish is kind of the wrong terminology. I have a problem looking for that next major wipeout to the downside at around maybe 8,900 to 9,000 bucks. And if you've noticed, and if you've been tuning in for the past week, I actually did move up this blue box. It was priorly at 8,800 to 89. It's priorly a word. It's probably a word. It sounds wrong. Most of the fucking words I say sound wrong. Anyways, who gives a fuck? Anyways, yes, or you know, before I had it from 88 to 89. Actually flipping it around here is going to be the right thing to do, and I do believe that if Bitcoin does have a nice washout move to the downside, this would be the proverbial bouncy bounce area that I'd be looking for. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would be interested in playing a play there if I can. But that is only going to be had, or I'd only really be looking for that to happen if Bitcoin actually does close a 4-hour dodo below 9250. 9200 would be even more confidence inducing, but anywhere in this blue box territory right here does denote a change of behavior in the lower term timeframes. Now, tying that in with what we looked at the beginning of this video, open interest being so high does suggest that there are a lot of liquidations that can be used as rocket fuel by either side who wants to push, whether it's the bulls or the bears. Just looks to me like the bears are a lot more closer to kind of breaking their major area right here, whereas bulls, I mean, you know, you could make the argument that 9450 is the big area, but I would really argue that 9550 to 9600 in this blue box right here is the more, you know, confidence inducing area. And as long as we're living below there, I'm not really, you know, looking for that next leg up to about 9850 and 5 digits after that, really. So with that in mind, let's go over here to the 12-hour and start to put the puzzle piece together. So remember, we do see we do see right here that we had a little bit of bearish divergence going on the 12 hour between this point and this point. And if you want to look for a third drive over here, it's a little bit further away, but there, this one very much pronounced. I would argue that that's already played out. A lot of people are talking about that. So I do want to kind of highlight that. I don't believe that, I believe that if you're looking for that divergence play, that's not what I'd be. That's just technically not right. You're not going to be, it's very unlikely that you're going to be successful trading like that over time. More importantly, we do see that 12-hour stocks are coming down, and just blindly trading these for the past year and a half, I really hate saying this, but has been very profitable. Don't need to be any sort of like crazy technical analyst or know really all that much to trade this one, and it's so far accurately called, quote unquote, the top of this, of this consolidation thus far, and it does look like we will be heading back down to test around 9150-ish region, of which yesterday I forgot to talk about following up from yesterday's analysis. Yesterday's analysis, I did say that Bitcoin was likely to come back down to 9250 when it was hanging out around like 9350, 9400-ish region. But don't mistake that with me calling a breakdown from this area, even though some things are kind of pointing lower here, until we break that 9250-ish region. First and foremost, I'd really want to see it on a 4-hour, 2-hour, probably gets it as well, although a little bit more of an aggressive move here. Sorry, a little bit all over the place here, but I just wanted to follow up that before it kind of slipped my mind. Anyways, yeah, so back onto the 12-hour, momentum oscillators here are suggesting that we probably do get another swipe to the downside, but does it actually close below this critical region? Now, I do think that a wick down to the 21 exponential moving average is, somewhat likely here, with momentum oscillators turning down and 12-hour RSI also getting kicked out of the bullish control zone as well. Probably does base around somewhere in the middle of the neutral territory. So it does have, perhaps another push lower. But the real question is, can we actually break this area by closing below it, which would initiate a move likely down here towards, again, 8,900 and 9,000, at which I'd be interested in playing a bounce, as that would be a phenomenal area for Bitcoin to potentially put in a higher low. Now, I am curious, just following our uptrend on the 12-hour and by the same, by the same trajectory, the daily, we have a couple of uptrend to be following here. And typically I don't like these diagonal trend lines, but they do tie in pretty damn well with the analysis. So first and foremost, we got this guy right here. Well, actually that's actually first and all. Actually, that's the most important one. Now, come to think of it, what else was I going to be looking at? It's this one right here. That's not fucking true. So yeah, that'd be coming in right in the midst of that blue box territory. Not only that, but you do see the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which just freshly crossed to the upside of the 200 SIP, which is long-term a very good thing, actually. It's actually a very good long-term thing. But a lot of the times when you do see this major moving average cross, price action does tend to test into them, typically speaking, which does add into the validity of them, assuming that, price action bounces. So if Bitcoin were to come back down in this region, and again, I want to be very deliberately clear in stating this, if Bitcoin does come down in that region, which only I'm looking for if 9250 does break on one of those medium lower time frames closures, then yes, this area would look like a damn good area for, in my opinion, to put in a higher low on a daily doodle time frame, like a medium time frame, which does matter. Not only is it our kind of long-term uptrend coming in from our prior low at January lows right here, right around 6,900, but it's also the 21 exponential moving average on the daily, also the 200. It's basically between the 21 and the 200 right here, both major moving averages, and also this blue box territory coming in from our prior liquid zone from our middle of January highs right here. So I like all of that kind of coincide within that region for potential very strong possibility for a bounce, and very likely and very likely it probably puts in a higher low there as well. So here's the thing. We've been looking at these lower time frame ranges essentially, and they've been pretty much unchanged for the last, going back on over here to the 29th of January essentially. And we can go look up now the probabilities of these events getting broken or not broken with respect to historical volatility percentile, the same thing that we've been looking at. But just notice how this changes over time, right? And as Bitcoin goes sideways here, the probabilities actually do start to tend to lean a little bit more to the downside now, as Bitcoin's starting to wear out its welcome a little bit. This is on a daily. I will look at the 12-hour in a second, but it would suggest that above 94.50 today, or in the next 24 hours, is less than a 16% chance to happen. And by the same token, below 90.50 is less than a 16% chance to happen. That means now that in order to break to the downside from this region, we're quite literally right in the middle of this. So it's, if you're looking at the first standard deviation, of this distribution, it would suggest that is 68% chance, about 68% chance to close within there. But now we're only looking at 1/2 of that, and we're literally being marked to the middle, which is, very, very conveniently that 9250-ish region. So what does that mean? It means that we actually do have about a 34% chance to break to the downside today below that critical 9250-ish region, which is going to have that avalanche of effects going forward. Keeping in mind the open interest being extremely high, that's fucking rocket fuel right there. And that would be likely a quick, about $400, $500, well, no, $300 to $400 move from this price point, and I would be expecting a bounce within that region. Although expectations, terrible word to have in a trader's vocabulary. Anyways, go check out the 12-hour, because the 12-hour is going to get the daily dollar close for for spot price action actually better, because it's measuring it from this time frame, and there's about 12 hours left in the day, a little bit more than that. About 14 if you want to be exact. And what does it say? It actually suggests that the probabilities of us breaking to the south side are even greater. The reason why I say that is because you can see, holy fuck, we just moved $15 in one tick. You can see that right now we're actually below 9250, and Jesus Christ, even the first standard deviation to the upside is only about $100 higher than 9250 right now. So the probabilities are certainly on the downside at this point in time, and it would suggest as well, you can see that it's very unlikely in the, by day's end close, we do close anywhere below this 8,900 to 9,000-ish region right here, exactly where that next blue box is that we were showing earlier. So again, tying all these things together and really combining all forms of technical analysis, which is what I fucking love doing, or not what I love doing, but this is what I love for finding trades realistically, as it's what it's telling you is that we have less than like a Jesus Christ, for the third standard deviation, it's like 0.3% or so. Hold on, let's actually go check it out, because we can look at it really quick. Really fucking unlikely. Yeah, 0.4%. Sorry, I was wrong about 0.3%. It's 0.4%, but that would be just to one side. So literally less than a percent chance to happen that we actually close below about 8850, 8900 today. And in the second standard deviation to the downside, about 2.5% chance. So I do like that area for a nice potential bounce region, and then we'll kind of come back and reassess. I'm not saying that it can't break longer term. Of course it can, but at first pass I would probably be looking for a bounce there. And this is all again 100% just coming off the assumption that we actually do break this, on at the very least a 4-hour dildo close below 9250. I would like to see maybe even a 2-hour probably gets it, of which I think we have a 2-hour closing actually in 51 minutes. So as we might have we might have confirmation on this as soon as about a little bit less than 50 minutes now. So very, very interesting. So keep an eye on that. We can even look at the expected moves chart on like a 4-hour right here, which is quite interesting as well. I mean, look at this. The first standard deviation is actually coming in, the top side of the first standard deviation is actually only coming in about $20 higher than 9250. So it's starting to really say that the probabilities are on the downside breakage here, and it's getting greater and greater as time goes on, actually. So Bitcoin, perhaps wearing out its welcome right now. Momentum oscillators are all down as well on the lower time frames. 4-hour down, 3 hours going to be down, 2 hours actually down right now, and hourly is coming back down. So it looks to me like we have another push off to the downside. Hourly is about to lose the 200 simple, or it already lost the 200 simple, about to get a confirmed rejection with an open and closure below, and the 200 exponential moving average just looming below right at that 9200 base. So I do have the blue box for this preliminary area becoming between 92 and 9250-ish region, but even just below 9250 on like a 4 hour is probably good enough. On an hourly, below 92 is probably going to be good enough. But understand that anytime you go to a lower time frame and judge off that, it's going to have less confidence associated with it. Higher time frames always going to be better for such things, but you might miss the move depending upon how conservative you are. That's also why I typically don't like to trade breakouts, because you do get a lot of fake outs in these regions. I'd rather just trade on the peripheries. In fact, that's what I've been doing for like the last month and a half on Bitcoin. It's just so much easier on the soul. I fucking love it, man. Everyone wants to get into the moon or doom moves. And I totally understand that. It's really cool to see, like, when you have these insane amounts of ROE percentage gains on your BitMEX or Deribit or Bybit or whatever the fuck shitty exchange that you use. Sorry, not you, but the exchange is shitty. account. But at the end of the day, man, the percent ROE means nothing. All that means anything in this game is just contracts open anyway. So you know, $50 move one way is always gonna be a $50 move, depending upon, you know, how much open you have. Anyways, okay, enough of that. So yes, by the same token, you know, could Bitcoin, you know, crawl its way out of this one? Yeah, it's still possible. Like I said, I do exercise caution in these regions. I'm not buying this next test down to 9,200. Or well, anywhere within this region. I bought the last few ones and I just traded them away. I'm not interested in buying this one. It's starting to actually look like it wants to break down. Historical volatility percentile on an hourly is set to expand right now. Let's see how the 2 hours doing. The buy hourly is extremely low and getting in perhaps in the midst of expanding right here, but very, 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 very low, saying that we do likely have a big move coming. Same thing with 3 hour. I'm going to imagine that the 4 hour, remember, was contracting all of the last couple days. And that's exactly what we see right here as well. So all these guys are winding up, and actually do think that it works a little bit better on these lower time frames, funnily enough. 30 minutes starting to expand a little bit as well, and they're all kind of coming in from this very, 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 very low area, which suggests that, you know, it's just unlikely that it keeps up this consolidation for much longer. We're looking at a break extremely, like I know I said yesterday around New York Stock Exchange Open, it's even more likely now that it happens, just because these things are absolutely crushed in volatility. It's a funny thing about volatility. It likes to expand after it's fully contracted. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it's programmed. So at the end of the day, something that I'm keeping an eye on. And the funny thing about this is that on the higher time frames we go, we kind of see the same sort of contraction phase going on. The 12-hour, most notably, I think that this one gets it very, very well as well. And we are at, you know, we're not at extremes, we're getting towards extremes. And if we go over to the daily, same sort of thing. It is a little bit still contracting over the whole. So that would kind of be where the buck stops right there, and suggest to us that, yeah, you know, the next time that we hit down to a major moving average, it's probably going to bounce. Very, very likely to bounce. And remember that we got the golden cross right over here on the daily between the green 50 and the purple 200. And, you know, a lot of the times, again, that's just going to be just very, very common to get tested. And it's the reaction to the test that's going to be very indicative of whether this is legit or not. Basically telling you whether the bots and algos are actually on the buy side, if they've initiated their buy programs for this sort of a thing. And what you'd be looking for is like some sort of a major, massive wick back up. I mean, shit, you know, if Bitcoin came down to like 8,900 and then closed the day at, you know, above 92, above the 10 simple, or wherever the fuck it is. I think it's about 92 right now. That would be a clear and obvious signal that's it is on the right side. So again, if you're in the TA program, make sure that you pay attention to the EMA module, because that is where it's going to go into much more detail on that. Anyways, I do want to check out CMEs over here. CMEs, remember, do have a nice gap down around here at around 90, 100, 90, 50-ish region. And I do think that this one does get filled, actually. This one has certainly been unfilled thus far. I would say about 9150 would be the lowest, or sorry, the topmost area I'd really be looking for, or 9150 to 9200, actually. I do have a blue box somewhere here. Is this too aggressive? I think that's a little bit too aggressive. I think it should be more like this, actually. I think it should be more like this. So as you know, as high as 9170, as low as 9075, and we can see that CMEs have about a little bit more than $100 price premium on spot right now. So that would put spot about $100 lower. So maybe like 8050 to 90 9,000-ish region. Somewhere around there is where that likely correlate with. Anyways, lower time frames for CME is kind of showing the same thing as spot. In fact, looking at hourly historic volatility percentile, I mean, this thing is ready to go, baby. It is ready to move. 2 hour coming down as well, a little bit contracting, so not as interesting. 3 hour, very, very interesting. 4 hour, very interesting as well. And on top of that, we do have some major moving averages coming in this region as well. So, you know, just more things kind of outline that region as a nice bounce territory. It's also gonna be the 10 simple on daily CMEs. And remember, CME's got the golden cross too, actually before spot price action, but we really haven't tested any of the major moving averages since then. And the 10 simple is like not even that, you know. When you're talking about, I mean, in very, very strong markets, yeah, you will only come down to your 10 simple, but, you know, typically speaking, I actually want to see things come down to the 21. So could it be that we actually have lower to go after that? Maybe. I'm certainly open to it, but I do think that 8,900 to 9,000 probably a nice little territory to begin with, as Bitcoin starting to break. 9202 and a half on BitMexico. Could this be the time that Bitcoin goes below 9,200 for the first time since 2 days ago? Craziness, right? Anyways, yeah, momentum also is turning down on not just 12-hour, but also daily as well, seeing daily Stokes cross down at the same time. Now, keep in mind, daily Stokes do actually have a nice trend line forming right here. And I do think that and I do think that if it comes down and tests this trend line, it will likely bounce off it. But that does offer up a nice little pullback kind of trajectory for this. In fact, we even have a trend line forming all the way from our prior low of December. This was the actual low, by the way. The low. I mean, at what was it? About 6,500-ish region. Let me just make sure that everything's cool over here. Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right. Anyways, all right, cool. Anyways, as far as that goes, what exactly? Yes. So as far as that goes, that was this low right here connected with this low right here, or sorry, this low right here. So we could look at that as, a long-term trend kind of forming, and by that metric, I would expect that somewhere between these two guys is where I'd be looking for a nice bouncy bounce. As far as the medium time frames go, like a daily, which actually has some weight to it. I'm curious how the 2-day, 3-day are looking. 2-day looking a little bit toppy as well. We do have bearish, or do we have bearish divergence? No, we do not have bearish divergence confirmed. Apologies for that one. Do not have 2-day bearish divergence confirmed. 2-day Stokes are actually still up, interestingly enough. Very interesting. What about 3-day? 3 days also quite interesting, right? The 3-day chart's pretty easy to read right now. It's actually really, really nice. It's actually really, really nice. Okay, so here's what I mean by this. You only need one trend line on a 3-day, right? There you go. No, you need two. right here. That's a 3-day range right there. And we're not closing this one tonight. We're actually closing it tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It closes on the 6th, funnily enough. So still got a little bit of waiting to do there. But momentum also is turning down here as well. 3-day Stokes going to have a chance to confirm down. 3-day RSI going to reject the bullish control zone. That's pretty damn common for your first pass. I do expect it to come back down somewhere around the exponential and get picked up there. So, the main picture that I'm trying to build here is that I do think that the probabilities are on Bitcoin testing some downside here, wiping out all the over leveraged longs. A $300 move, $400 move is really not that much. But you have to realize that people in this market are leveraged like insanely. People leverage in this market, which is insane to begin with. But but realistically, there's no need for anything more than like a 5x leverage in a market like this that literally moves in like hundreds of dollars per day. I can understand 500x leverage for 4x, which moves in 0.001, decimals at a time. That totally makes sense. 100% get that one. But for Bitcoin, which literally moves $100, so it's moving like much more than any one of these 4x pairs. You get 100x leverage on that, which is just insane to me. Like, no one needs 100x leverage. You need what you need is risk management and not to fucking not to fucking gamble. But of course that is a conversation for another time. What's up, Zipsy? Hey, you subscribed on YouTube. Holy shit, man! Well, it's good to have you on over here. I don't want to come off as like trying to be your dad or something like that. That's just fucking annoying, and I wouldn't like it if someone did that to me either. But Jesus Christ, man, seeing like the way that some people talk about leverage in this game is astounding. It's very sombering, and then it's also well. That's why you see a lot of people complaining on like crypto Reddit and crypto Twitter that XYZ is a scam. It's like, it's not a scam. You're just that same person who took out, loans on housing in 2008. Just kidding. All right. Well, anyways, getting a little bit too much there. Sorry about that. I apologize. My bad. Anyways, okay, cool. So Bitcoin still holding it up thus far? Maybe not. Coming down a little bit more there. Let's see. What's the next major move? Next, we're going to be hitting the 12 hour, somewhere around here. It looks like. So maybe there is a little bit of never know. I'm just making sure that, do I have any resting orders going on over here? I do not. Okay, cool. Anyways, great. All right. So what else do we want to talk about? We haven't spoken about the weekly. The weekly is what makes me think that, you know, a pullback probably does get bought up. The reason why I say that is because more or less the weekly is fine. Long term, I still think is fine. Weekly Stokes have confirmed a change of behavior getting back above the bearish control zone, which is essentially where Bitcoin loves to hang out during its bear markets. Anywhere below this area right here, this is your whole bear market, literally starting from 2018 all the way to March 2019 when it gets out of it. And then more recently from middle of September, you know, the breakdown from 10.3, which is where we got bearish, to more recently getting back above it right here. So I do think that that is long-term a good thing. Not only that, but looking at weekly RSI, we did confirm above the critical area that we've been speaking about. Or, whoops, wrong one. Need to get over here to stamp. We did confirm above this critical blue box territory that's in the 55, 56 marker. Long term, I've gotten so much questions about this. This is insanity. That it's such insanity that I get so much questions about this. People think that just because we close above this region right here, it's like you just buy immediately. No, I'm looking for the retest into the blue box. Like that's this is why signals. I don't even see how signals groups can work. Like I literally don't even see how it can work because people interpret everything differently. Like I look at that as like, oh, okay, well now you look for entries. You know, you have a confirmed change of behavior. That means the trend has changed. Do I just blindly enter? Fuck no, no. Like what? Where do people get this idea? It's so insane. You know, as always, any source of technical analysis edge is just a statistic. That's all it is. That's more likely to work in your favor longer term. That's all it is. So that means that it can be wrong. And if it can be wrong, then you need to know exactly how to be managing risk on that trade so that you can actually survive with your account intact enough to fight another day if it does not work out, because at some point it will not work out. And that is why doing a signals group is just really, I just don't think that it can be done. I mean, shit, if, you know, if I could, I'd be managing my risk with options, which good luck explaining this. Good luck explaining that to someone. Anyways, so yes, you know, big deal to me. And again, just, you know, going throughout the history of time, anytime that we're above it, we're generally bullish. Anytime that we're below it, we're generally bearish. It's no mistake that we were below it the whole September all the way to December, and all 2018 to 2019 in March right here, you know. So it's going to have its first kind of chance to really confirm above, which I think is very interesting and very compelling. And I would be looking for the pullback, which is likely coming now. Not only that, but just weekly moving averages, which I put a lot of weight on, are starting to turn up. We are above the yellow 21 exponential moving average, and you can see that historically speaking, Bitcoin loves to play off that in its long-term bullish markets, likes to base off it on its bullish dumps, and it does have a positive slope, which has been the kind of deciding factor in, you know, long-term kind of judging whether we're, you know, generally bullish, generally bearish, depending upon where it's closing above in relation to that. So we got both of those working for it right now. Not only that, the red 10 simple is about to get a positive slope, and we are technically above all major moving averages as well. So the next sort of piece of source of edge here is I'd be looking for the 10 symbol to cross above the 21, and that's when things probably get a little more fun. So, you know, longer term, are we still technically in a weekly downtrend? Yes, because we have not made a weekly higher high. All Bitcoin would need to do to close on a higher high is to close this weekly above 95.50. Thus far, it's been getting rejected from it, but longer term, I do think that it's going to have a, I do think that it's going to have a legitimate chance. And I wouldn't really be getting like super bearish on this. I wouldn't really be getting super bearish is the wrong term, but I wouldn't be getting I wouldn't really be considering like a full-on reversal. Like this was just all one massive bull trap until Bitcoin actually breaks below the 200 simple here, which is about at 8,800, 8,850, which perhaps we even see today. So yeah, you know, Bitcoin going to 100,000 this week, so I can make another shitty YouTube title. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh man, it's so much fun to do though. I definitely see why people do it. Anyways, okay, what else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about GBTC. It was trading yesterday. I'm curious how it did. Big down, cracking through the 200 simple. Actually, new lows on that. Probably does fill the gap down around here, perhaps. Although I don't really trust that sort of thing on some sort of OTC bullshit as much as I do on spot price action. And of course, CMEs and spot are just easier to read and easier to trade, actually. Funnily enough, let's go look at dollar yen. Dollar yen popping back up right off the 200 simple. Love it. Hitting our targets to the upside. I do think that this one probably has a little bit more to go. I do think that this is a pretty damn good response here. Once again, kind of buoying itself off the bottom side support right here, and maybe like 109.5 region is where I'd still be looking for. Pound yen, absolute catastrophic meltdown. Probably does bounce off this region, but is the party over for the boo laws here? I mean, kind of, I'd still just be looking at the weekly. I'm not bullish on it as long as it's below the 200 simple, and I think that's just the easiest way to not get fooked by that one. Gold coming down. Ooh, nasty. Bearish divergence is going to be confirmed. 3 drives on gold. Do you think that we're going to be coming down to 1560 and probably a nice bouncy bounce there? Euro dollar, nice fade, fading the bounce attempt. So we got the bounce off this area right here. Bounce is getting faded right now, as we spoke about. Yes, actually, I was looking for it to come up maybe a little bit more, like a 111.25. We're not going to get that. This is going to, this is very likely going to come back down to 110 before anything else. What else we want to look at? Although I don't feel all that confident about these, about these ones. Okay, cool. See, Bitcoin's at 91.74.5 on Mexico. Not bad at all, except for the Bitcoin boo laws over there. And it's a little bit worrying as my 10x leverage long is going to be liquidated soon. Fuck. It's like, Jesus Christ. Let's go look at the top shitcoins here. We got Mr. Beautiful 185.7, put in a nice high. Oh, Jesus Christ. Right at our $200 target. Right. Or actually, no, we didn't hit my $200 target. We got stopped right at the 377. Fucking classic. Coming down probably to 180.25. That's where I'll be looking towards. Litecoin, ooh, coming down to our 66.5 area that we were looking for. I actually do think that this comes maybe a little bit lower than that, probably $65, but I do think that it bounces around there. Hit our target to the upside, now coming down to our blue box territory. Absolutely love it. Do you think that it bounces from this region? And probably gonna be in line with Bitcoin making a similar move. Anyways, let's start to wrap this bitch up because it's only been 30 minutes. Holy shit, this is gonna be a shorter video. Nice, I did it. Now all the people on YouTube saying, Crown, you should make shorter videos because whatever. Are going to be happy. Well, great. Although I can't promise it's going to be, it's just shorter because there's not really many new things to be talking about here. So yeah, to wrap it up, open interest extremely high. Probably going to be looking at a move. I mean, extremely likely today, I'd say. The probabilities are on the downside. Any sort of a 4-hour delta close below 92.50, which is looking pretty damn likely in the next 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I'd be looking for a move probably like 8,900 to 9,000, somewhere in this blue box right here, which is not just our nice little liquid zone coming in from our middle of January highs, nice little basing point, but also our long-term uptrend coming in from our January lows. And not only that, but it's going to be the daily 21 exponential moving average and the 200 simple moving average all kind of being met after putting a little bit of divergence on these higher time frames and with momentum also is turning down. And I would be looking for a bounce there, and then we'll come back and reassess. Could it be that this area does not bounce it? Perhaps yes. Although I do think, at least on a low time frame, it will bounce it. If it doesn't bounce it, then yeah, we got a big problem because Bitcoin's going to be coming down to like 8,500 and perhaps even more. At which point I'd probably look for a bounce at 8,500. But assuming that we don't see like some sort of Hail Mary pass by Bitcoin boo laws here and close this next 4-hour dildo back above 92.50, it's looking more and more ever so likely to me that this one wants to head a little bit south. So with that said, I'm going to be signing off now. Like I said, I won't be on Twitch later today. So I'd like to wish you well. Take care, and until next time.